All right, so without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our subject matter expert and our presenter, Mr. Mike Mojica. Mike has worked at American Airlines Credit Union for almost 5 years, and specifically with our financial wellness group for about 8 months. He is a certified counselor, and he says his favorite thing about working for the credit union and the financial wellness team specifically is his ability to give members proven solutions sometimes as they struggle through financial difficulties and challenges. A couple quick fun facts about Mike. He enjoys cheering on his grandkids through all their sporting events and tournaments. He also loves traveling, especially internationally. Mike, just want to thank you for being here and helping people achieve their financial wellness goals. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to you. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you so much. And it's really a privilege to open up and begin this, which is my favorite topic, really, do-it-yourself credit repair. And as we go through these slides, these numerous slides, there's several things that we're going to cover and go over. And I'll go ahead and get started. First of all, the information given in this presentation is not legal advice or legal opinion and should not be construed as such. Please consult with qualified legal counsel as to your particular needs. The sources referred to in this presentation, including any products or websites, are for informational purposes only and do not represent any endorsement by the credit union of such products or websites. Before we get started, the following webinar is not legal advice and is for information purposes only. The topics that we're going to be discussing: understanding the effects of bad credit, pulling your credit report, disputing inaccuracies, paying or settling debt, rebuilding credit, avoiding scams, knowing when to seek help, and learning how we can help. All right. Now we'll move to our first poll question. Take it away, Jack.
Awesome. I didn't go far. I knew I was right around the corner. So we just want to get a pulse of the room. Before we pop up this question, I want to let you know all of the polling questions are anonymous. We will not save your individual answers. We will not share your individual answers. So feel free to respond without fear of ridicule, being called out, or anything along those lines. But we want to know on a personal level, what is your experience with credit repair? Is it A, you've used a credit repair company in the past? Is it B, you've had the opportunity to work with a credit union financial counselor? C, you've tried to do it yourself? Or D, you have no experience with credit repair? And Mike, I'll just say, by virtue of having all these people on this call today, they're about to get some experience with credit repair, right? So
most definitely.
If we were to ask this polling question again in the future, maybe they could say B, they've worked with a credit union financial counselor. That's the hope.
Exactly.
All right, let's take a look at our respondents here today and see what we've got in the queue. It looks like a majority, I would say close to half or more, are C or D. Either they've tried to do it themselves or they have no experience. We have one person that said they've worked with a credit union financial counselor. And then we had approximately 11% or so that have used a credit repair company in the past. So a smattering of responses, Mike. But I know that, like I said, after today, they'll have some experience with credit repair.
Most definitely. And please take advantage of everything that you receive in today's webinar. Okay, did you know that there's nothing a credit repair company can do for you that you can't do yourself for free? Now, DIY, which is do-it-yourself credit repair, you be your own credit repair company for free. This is what we want to present in this webinar, and this is what we're going to attempt to do this afternoon. Now, how does bad credit impact your finances? Now, there's several ways, and I want to really look at this person with the picture where they're holding her temples. She's a little stressed out. So how does bad credit impact your finances? First of all, inability to get approved for loans. Now, acquiring a loan may prove to be very difficult or even impossible. And then higher interest rates. Loan rates are based on your ability to pay back a loan. High interest rates are the result of bad credit. And higher insurance premiums. Car and home insurance rates are subject to the same criteria. Um, so bad credit equals high insurance premiums. The next one may affect your ability to get a job. You may be qualified for a job and may not be able to get it because of the bad credit. Okay. And the last one here, stress on your physical and mental health. That's like what she's doing right there. If you see that picture, um, stress related to bad credit comes from large debt and the inability to purchase autos, homes, utilities, or even phone service. So that's what it does. So pulling, the very first thing we want to talk about, and this is the first step in improving credit, pull and review credit is what we start at. Annualcreditreport.com allows you the freedom of pulling a free credit report every 12 months. Now, since the COVID-19 pandemic, you can actually do this every week, and I got that from Google, so it's a reliable source. Um, Now, these reports are detailed record of your credit history, but they don't include the credit score. Now, if you want to get a credit score, you'll have to go to the individual credit bureaus, which is your Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion. Or what's even better, you can actually access this through Savvy Money on your American Airlines Credit Union app. You can just go down, scroll all the way to the bottom, and you'll be able to see your score. And you can do that anytime for free. And so that's a great, great thing to have and be able to look at, to be able to
And
review score. Yes, go ahead.
And Mike, it does not affect your credit score because it's a soft inquiry. And I think that's a big, big plus on using our platform to get an idea of where you're at.
Exactly, exactly. And that's great because, they ask all the time, is this going to hurt my credit? Is this going to hurt my credit? So it's a great thing to be able to do that. And you can do that, 10 times a day for free and access that from your phone, just from your American Airlines Credit Union app. Great point, Jack. Now, talking about disputing inaccuracies, because once we pulled our credit and we see and we review it and we notice that there's some inaccuracy, make sure your credit report is accurate. You dispute any item that does not belong to you as fraud. Now, it may require a police report, but what you want to do is recognize what is fraud and not fraud. If you do not recognize an item, and it's may be fraud and may require a police report. Let me give you an example. If you purchase something, phone service, for example, and decided to go with another company, leaving a balance, you cannot claim fraud just because you didn't like the provider and decided to go with another. You'll still be responsible for the balance. Now, that's the way it works. So the next thing here is look for inaccuracies in debt amount, last activity dates, and payment history. After reviewing the detailed information on your credit report, you see discrepancies in balances, the date of last activity, or payment history, you can file a dispute. And where you file the disputes, you file them with the credit bureaus, the 3 credit bureaus, either mail or online.
Hey, Mike, can I expand on this a little
Yes,
bit?
please. Please,
All
Jen.
right. So one of the things that we look at when we're looking at what these credit repair companies do and charge money to do is that they will look at the credit reports and basically dispute information that doesn't quite add up. So they might pull all 3 credit reports, and if, say, an American Express or whatever was reported date of last activity of January of 2023, but then another credit bureau shows that same account with the date of last activity reported as March of 2023, they'll say, oh, it's inaccurate, so we can dispute it, right? And then things may get removed if it shouldn't be there, or it at least gets corrected. And so when Mike's talking about, looking for those inaccuracies and the debt amounts and last activity dates and things like that, that's what these credit repair companies do and how they go about disputing them. And these are things that you can do yourself. It doesn't cost anything to dispute something. And we want those credit reports to be reporting accurate information. So looking for those accuracies are really important to getting your credit report corrected to the way it should be. So thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. All right. Now, we need to reach out to the creditors for proof. This is still in disputing inaccuracies. If a creditor or collection agency approaches you regarding a debt with inaccurate information, usually this is in a letter, request a validation of debt from the creditor. Now, this may occur when a debt is sold to a collection agency and you don't recognize the collector. The new debt collector will have to prove that you in fact owe the debt. Allow the debt collector to do their own due diligence before you recognize this as a legitimate debt and one you're responsible for. So we would request validation of debt from the creditor. When possible, send this within 30 days of receiving notice of a debt owed. Send a letter by certified mail with delivery confirmation. Request the following details. You want to make sure that we ask for these details when we're contacting the creditor. Why the debt collector thinks you owe the debt, the amount of debt, and how old it is, and details about the debt collector's authority to collect the money. Now, this happens when we receive something, usually in the mail, from a debtor or a collector that we don't recognize. And most often it's because that debt that we had with a bank or with maybe for an auto loan or something was actually sold to a collection agency, and that's why we don't recognize the debt collector. And Jamie, do you have something to add to this as well?
Yeah, so again, this is kind of one of those things that the companies can take it or use to their advantage to dispute debt. So especially if you have a debt that has been sold off to another company. So maybe it started with a credit card and it went to, charge off, and they have sold it to ABC Collection Agency. You're going to receive a letter from ABC Collection Agency stating that they now have this debt and you owe them money. And so this is when you want to do these letters of or requests for validation. And so what happens a lot of times within those transfers, you'll have where the information is lost. Basically, it doesn't translate from the original creditor to the new collection agency. And if they can't verify that information, then they have to remove it from your credit report. So that's where that comes into play and why it's important to follow up with these requests for validation.
All right, now we have our next poll question. Please take it away, Jack.
All right, this should be pretty straightforward, y'all. True or false? You can dispute anything on your credit report, even if it's accurate. I'll repeat that again while the poll question pops up. You can dispute anything on your credit report, even if it's accurate. True or false? Again, y'all, we're not going to ridicule you for trying an answer and being wrong. Just want to make sure you're paying attention and get those wheels turning. What do you think? I'd ask you, Mike and Jamie, but I know you know the answer. And I think I know the answer because I've seen this before. So I don't want to tip my hand too much, but let's see what our respondents say. Let's do another 10 more seconds or so, Sarah, and close out the poll to see what folks think.
A little tricky one.
Can be. All right. So out of the respondents, it looks like a very large majority said true. You can dispute anything, even if it's accurate. So I'm going to throw it back to the subject matter expert here, and hopefully we can get the right answer.
Thank you, Jack. The answer is true.
True.
But there's a but after this. So while you can dispute anything on your credit report, accurate information is not likely to be removed. In most cases, items will remain on your report for 7 years from the date of the last activity. Inquiries remain 2 years, and bankruptcies remain for 7 to 10 years. So the information on the credit report is true and if it's true and accurate, chances are you'll not be able to have the item or items removed. It will be on your credit report for 7 years, as we stated here. So the majority said true. So good job there, guys.
Smart bunch.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we've talked about several things here. Now, when we have reviewed our credit, we pulled and reviewed our credit, we checked for inaccuracies, and we tried to maybe dispute the ones that were inaccurate. Then we have to get down, what are we going to do afterwards? We decided that these are the debts that we're responsible for because they're not inaccurate, they're accurate, and they're, in fact, we owe these debts. So we have to decide what we're going to do now. We're going to decide to pay or settle remaining collections, and that's what we're going to be doing. Now, pay for deletion. Get an agreement from the creditor to delete the debt from your credit report. You get documentation from the creditor. If you negotiate payment in full or monthly payments, get documentation. And I say this before sending a penny. Make sure you get something from them that said that this is going to take me off the credit report by paying this off, paying for deletion. Okay. Settle. Pay less than the total amount due. Now, negotiating a settlement for less than the balance due. If creditor agrees to a settlement for less than the balance due, I just want to say this: you may receive 1099 for the difference, and that must be reported as income. And what I understand, if it's less than $600, you won't have to report it. But if it's more than $600, you may have to report it as income, and your creditor may send you that 1099. Okay, the next one here is payment plan. Agree on a monthly payment that is affordable for you. Get the agreement in writing, and we'll reset the statute of limitation. And make sure you get that agreement in writing and understand that that does reset the clock. When negotiating a payment plan, make sure you get written documentation. Beginning the payment plan will reset the clock. Make sure the payment plan is one you can afford. Okay. I have here for questions. If somebody has questions, if you want to poll those, Jack.
We've got a few here. If you're ready, you and Jamie bracing for impact.
Hey.
And I know Jamie's done a great job of responding to a few in the queue already. But there is a good question here, and this is about kind of managing debt and your credit score and things. How can you cancel or remove a credit card without damaging your credit rating? Jamie, I know you kind of responded already if you want to take this one.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. To my knowledge, you really can't avoid an impact to your credit. Once you have that account open, it's going to impact because of just the way credit scores are calculated, and we have a whole webinar on just how credit scores are calculated.
Yep.
But it goes into your available credit line, your age of credit, and all of this. And so anytime you close a credit card, you're impacting both your available credit limits and your average age. And so there really isn't a way to avoid that if you close out an account. But what I will say is you can minimize that impact if you actually close the account yourself. So if it's an account that you're really not using, I actually have one recently. It's a store credit card that I don't shop at that store anymore. And so I thought, I almost hate to take the hit to my credit, but I don't use it. And I know at some point, if I don't use it, they're going to close it on me, and that will actually look worse than if I close it myself. So you can minimize the impact by requesting the account to be closed and make sure that it gets reported as a closed at consumer request, as opposed to closed at the creditor's request. That kind of makes it seem like maybe there was something bad going on there. But unfortunately, as far as I know, there is no way to avoid some impact.
And on the heels of that, Jamie, is there like a magic number for the number of credit lines or credit cards or loans that you should have available to you?
Yeah, there really isn't a specific number of cards that someone should have. I kind of like 3, but I like things in 3s in general, but I feel like that's a good, manageable number. But as far as impact to your credit, it's going to depend on so many other factors, like what other types of loans that you have. Generally speaking, 3 trade lines is kind of a minimum. Like to get approved for mortgages, they want to see some history. So 3 trade lines is kind of a good place to be. But it really, what you want to see is some variation. So you want to have maybe a couple of credit cards, a personal loan or auto loan or a mortgage, something like that. Again, we have a whole presentation on that kind of stuff, but and I could talk about it probably for hours, but yeah. So
Touche.
I like 3.
Yeah. And I think the other determining factor, a big major one, that goes into the algorithm of what makes up a credit score is how much of it are you actually using to, you know, and then above all that, can you manage it? Are you paying it on time? So, I mean, you can have 20 credit cards because you're a rewards credit card junkie and you may have a $0 balance on all of them. And that may not affect your credit score nearly as much as somebody that has 2, but they're using the entire balance. Am I wrong on that?
Nope, absolutely correct.
Okay. Good deal. So somebody's asking us, if you don't mind going back just real quick, George, or Mike, I don't know why it's George.
I'll answer
We
to
work
anything.
together all the time. Yeah, no, I was reading the name in the question. My apologies. If you don't mind going back a couple slides, and repeat the questions that you may need to ask a creditor slowly, or just review that real quick.
Okay.
And I do want to point out, because we had a couple inquiries while you're navigating there, Mike, as far as anything you might have missed on a slide or to access these slides post webinar, we will send a survey out at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. That is your golden ticket to requesting a copy. So just want, if y'all miss anything, this is the only time we'll probably go back, but you can request that copy on the survey at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Perfect.
So these are a few of the questions, right? The request of following details that you were talking about, Mike.
Okay. What was it regarding what we asked the creditors when we're sending a letter? Was that the question that they were asking?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is going back to what was brought up in this particular slide. In the event that you receive a letter, it's usually in the form of a letter, and there it's maybe a creditor or a bill collector, maybe from an agency, and you don't recognize it. This is when you want to go ahead and send out a letter. Most of the time, it's because the debt or your debt was sold to a collection agency. And so you don't recognize the collection agency because the name doesn't come up, but you don't have any idea who it comes from. You want to request a validation of debt from the creditor. And you want to do this within 30 days of receiving that notice or that letter. And you want to send the letter by certified mail with delivery confirmation. And you want to request the following details: why the debt collector thinks you owe the debt, the amount of the debt and how old it is, and details about the debt collector's authority to collect the money. And like I said, this happens because that debt, whatever debt that you did have, it may have been sold to a collection agency that you don't recognize the company in that.
Awesome. And I'm going to let you keep it on this slide for the time being, because we have like 4 questions related to disputing. And so I'm just going to kind of bundle them all into one. We've got an example of, if there's a name that's slightly inaccurate, if there is, a need to report an amount that is on like the medical bills from a relative, things like that. Are those all ways or reasons why you might dispute information on your credit report?
Certainly with the names, if the names are incorrect, you want to go ahead and have that correction, not necessarily dispute, but have it corrected. And you can do that the same way by, giving that information to the credit bureaus. The other part, Jack, what were you saying?
If somebody's getting billed for like even a deceased relative or relative associated with medical bills,
Okay.
are they still responsible, or is that something worth reaching out to dispute?
Okay. You can certainly dispute anything, especially something that's not you're not responsible for at that point in time. But Jamie, can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, and I responded to that in the Q&A as well. So I would say you're not responsible for anybody else's debt, right? If it is showing up on your credit report, I would absolutely dispute that. Unfortunately, you have to have proof, of course, that it's not yours. But what I will say in the case of a deceased relative, oftentimes what we see is that the collector may be trying to come after that person's estate. And so they may have a claim to that. And I would recommend seeking legal counsel to determine if you were the recipient of the estate's proceeds, essentially, you may have some obligation to pay their debt if they come after that. So I would recommend seeking legal counsel in that case. But in general, just generally speaking, we're not responsible personally for other people's debt.
And that would go for just keeping on the dispute topic. That would go for something if you paid off a loan and it never got removed from the credit report. That would be worth disputing too, right, y'all?
Most definitely, definitely.
Yep. And that's why, going back to what you said, Mike, it's so important to get that in writing. It's going to make your contest that much easier and seamless. That's the hope anyway. So y'all, we do have a number of other questions. A number of them, I'll be honest, y'all, are a little bit more personal and a little bit narrower focused. We're going to do our best to respond to those in the chat. But for some of those that have a lot of questions and a lot of variables involved in their individual situations, that is what Jamie, Mike, and their entire team do. Not going to be able to give you everything on a personalized level in a webinar that's attended by hundreds of people. However, we are here to help, and that is what that survey is for. So for the sake of time, and just to make sure we get through all the material, Mike, let's go ahead and move on to the next kind of section of this presentation. And then time allowing, y'all, we will do our best to get back to the questions that you've sent. Again, if we don't get to your question, please, please, please indicate that on the survey, and we'll reach out to you on a personal level.
All right. Well, then moving forward, we talked about the effects of bad credit, pulling your credit report, disputing inaccuracies, and paying or settling the debt. Now we're going to discuss in the next few slides, rebuilding the credit, avoiding scams, and when to seek help and how we can help as your financial wellness team. So first thing in rebuilding your credit, we want to talk about improving your score. The first item in here is open a secured card. A secured card typically requires a cash deposit and that has a low credit limit, but using a secured card responsibly can help establish good credit and make more lines of credit available to you in the future. And then obviously this is one pay down balances on existing credit lines. Obviously that's going to improve your score when you pay down your balances. Now, the next one, it says ask for credit limit increases or existing credit lines. Now, what you want to do is you want to keep your balances 30% below the credit limit. Obviously, by increasing the limit, that increases the difference between that 30% and the credit limit. So in effect, it may increase your score that way. Now, make all payments on time. So this is the one that when your credit score is put together, that's the item that's looked at the most, is how you make your payments. So credit history is the largest factor in maintaining an ideal credit score. So make all your payments on time, and avoid applying for too many new credit accounts in a short time. So every time you apply for another account, your credit score takes a hit with every credit pull, okay? And then the last one here, be patient. Rebuilding your credit takes time. Slow and steady wins the race. Okay, we're going to talk about one more time about avoiding credit repair scams, what to look for. Now, the first item here is dealing with or talking about new credit identity, CPN. Some credit repair companies may offer a CPN, which is a credit privacy number. This is just it's someone's stolen social security number, and it's given as part of the credit scam. which is fraud. And so if you go to a credit repair company and they give you a 9-digit number to apply for credit, now that's fraud, that's illegal. And you need to recognize it's that. They call it a CPN, which is a credit privacy number, but it's just someone's stolen social security number and that they're giving you so you can apply for credit. Request for money before they have anything for you. Money required up front can't be good, especially, the thing is, when you're trying to repay all these debt, the money that you have is kind of precious. And can you imagine having to pay a company up front to help you repair your credit when you can actually do all these things? What they're doing, you can do it yourself for free. And so, that I would, where they're asking for money up front, I would steer away from something like that. Over-promising or guaranteed result. If it's too good to be true about the over-promising, like they're saying that maybe we can clear this up in a couple of weeks. Well, we know it's going to take much longer than that. That is offering promises that they're not going to be able to keep. Advising to stop payments on account. When they tell you to stop making payments, this is how it works. They advise you to stop making payments. What will happen, it'll cause your credit to plummet. And now these companies, what they'll do then is they begin to settle with the creditors. Now, settling and then stopping the payments actually hits your credit in two ways. It plummets because the fact that you're not making payments, and then it also hits it negatively because there are actually settlements on your account. So negative history, not paying, and the settlements. And advising to use advice to falsify information. Giving false information should never be encouraged. If you're told to lie, you've gone to the wrong place. Okay, now what we need to think about here is when we come in contact with these scams or these repair scams, we want to report it. And here's, we can report it to the State Attorney General, the Federal Trade Commission, and here we have ftc.gov/complaint, or you can call 877-FTC-HELP. And you want to do this, especially if there is, you're involved in some sort of credit repair scam. You want to report it.
Mike, can I add something? If you wouldn't mind
Most
going
definitely.
back 2 slides there, where you were talking about the different scams. Just about maybe 2 years ago or so, when I was doing counseling, I had a member who actually was trying to apply for a loan and was using one of these CPN numbers, and she did not know that it was fraudulent. And we're looking at her credit, it was obviously not her, and I'm asking her about this social security number, thinking that maybe she is trying to commit fraud. And that's when she revealed to me that she had actually been working with a credit repair company who issued her this number and told her that it was like a reset on her credit, and now she would be able to apply for things and build good credit and kind of start over. And she was just in shock when I had to explain to her that that's not a thing, that's fraudulent, and you're likely using someone's stolen social security number. And so she actually then had to go file a police report, because then she thought she was going to get in trouble. Here she was using this number, but she had to report this company who was doing that. And then the other thing that we see a lot as counselors, and Mike, I'm sure you can agree, is that advice to stop making payments on accounts. And this is not fraud. This is not necessarily a scam. It's legal that these companies are doing this. But when they're telling you to stop making payments on the accounts and then you send money to them, they hold it in escrow basically until your account is about to be charged off, or in some cases is charged off. And then they go in and offer a settlement. That's not a scam. It's just not a healthy way to manage your credit. And it's going to take you a long time to recover. So I really recommend people stay away from those types of credit repair or debt consolidation. Sometimes they'll use that term, debt consolidation programs. They're just really, really damaging, and, ethically probably not the best thing to do either. But if that's really the route that you feel is best to take, you can do that yourself without having to pay another company to do that for you. Open up a little savings account, start sticking your payments in there and then, settle them yourself and not have to pay somebody else to do it. But we really don't recommend that route, right? So yeah.
Thank you,
Wanted to
Jen.
add that. Sure.
All right. Now, just like my mommy always used to say, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Okay. I don't know. Mom was very smart. She said a lot of smart things. Now, it's time for our last poll, and take it away, Jack.
All right. So again, anonymous poll, not going to save these answers, but just want to get the pulse of the room and get you thinking a little bit. Do you consider yourself a patient person? Let me see. Are these popping up?
I'm not seeing it on my end yet. There we go.
There
All
we
right,
go.
there it is. All right. So again, if you're on a mobile device, you may be able to swipe left or right to find the polling questions and the Q&A. For those of you on a PC, it should pop up, but if not, it's in the bottom right-hand corner. But again, do you consider yourself a patient person? A, you're very patient. B, you're somewhat patient. Or C, you're not patient at all. Mike, since our attendees are being candid here, even if it's not an individual response, where would you put you? Where would you rank yourself?
It would really depend on the situation. I like to
Yeah.
think that I'm patient, but sometimes, you don't have the patience sometimes. So I guess it depends on the circumstance of the situation.
Yeah, I'm a millennial, so I'm probably more like a C, maybe some B in there. We want everything right here at our fingertips. So yeah, I'd probably identify as more C than anything.
Okay.
But good for you. I know who to come to for some Zen. Nobody was willing to say they're not patient at all. Yeah, actually, one person.
How honest are these people?
Right, let's ask all your friends. But a majority said they're somewhat patient, followed very closely. So over half of all the people in the room here today said they're either very patient or somewhat patient. And I'm sure there's a reason why you wanted to ask this question. So why would we ask such a thing, Mike?
Okay. Well, when we're talking about credit repair and fixing our credit, we have to think about how patient we are because obviously it won't happen overnight. It's something that is progressive. Sometimes it takes a little longer than we think. And so that's why we want to be as patient as we can. So this last poll question is regarding patience. Now, your financial wellness team is here to help with those credit challenges. Now, we understand that sometimes because the different circumstances, it may not be something that we can actually do because we don't have the patience to wait or something like this. So I want to talk about when we need to seek help. When you don't have the time or patience to deal with it, you may want to maybe see someone else or maybe one of the other companies that we could recommend or something like that, and we can do that. Obviously, we want you to work with us with financial wellness, but sometimes because we're not patient, because it's all do it yourself. And if they don't see it happening right away, you might need to deal with another company and with that. Now, the next, when you're being sued by a creditor, I would say that you probably need to pursue maybe legal means when you're being sued by a creditor. In other words, you might need to get a lawyer involved. When you get a creditor collector to negotiate, now this is something that we can help you as a financial wellness group. We can actually be on the phone with you when you're talking to a creditor collector and help you to negotiate with that creditor collector when you can't get them to do that. When creditors or collectors are abusive, now this is illegal. They should never be, they should be reported whenever the creditors or collectors are abusive. The last one here, if you're considering bankruptcy, one more time, you may have to consider a lawyer for that. And so this is what we're talking about. And being patient means the time involved in actually repairing your credit. And that's what that is. And it takes patience. It does. Now, what we do in the financial wellness department, and I'm glad that has the phone numbers here, the 833 FinWell. That's easy to remember, 833 FinWell, or you can contact us at financialwellness@aacreditunion.org. Now, in the financial wellness department, we have certified credit union financial counselors, such as myself, experts in financial assistance for bruised credit situations, advanced financial indebtedness solutions assistance, continuous accountability, support, and guidance, and educational seminars, webinars throughout the year, much like this one here. We can guide the members through the process by introducing proven tools and methods to tackle credit challenges. As certified credit union financial counselors, we are the experts to offer support and accountability. So we hope that you'll come to us. Now, there's other tools and resources that I want to make sure that you know they're available for you. The first one being the credit monitoring, and we talked about that a little bit earlier. You can actually, through Savvy Money, you can actually go in there into your app, the American Airlines Credit Union app, and you can see you can find out more than your score. You have free access to your credit report and credit score, analysis of factors that impact your credit score, and daily monitoring of key changes to your credit file. So that's what you have with your credit monitoring, and you can get that through Savvy Money through your American Airlines Credit Union app. And so a little bit more than just getting your score. Now, with the wellness checkup that comes from the financial wellness team, the financial wellness group, our wellness checkup gives you the opportunity to meet with financial wellness, a coach, an advocate, certified financial counselors, expert in assistance for bruised and credit situations, financial indebtedness solution assistance, and continuous accountability support and guidance. And then we have the navigator. You'll find outstanding tools, resources, and coaching. You'll get that from the navigator. Personalized action plans, interactive courses, easy to use calculators and budgeting tools, and live webinars. You'll be able to get that through the navigator. And there, right there is the links so you can get into the financial wellness at aacreditunion.org, navigator.aacreditunion.org, or online banking /app. And that's where you get all the goodies that we talked about there.
All right, this is my cue, right?
Yes, sir. That's your cue, Jack.
All right, we're going to circle around to questions. We just wanted to give you all a heads up that we are going to spend a little bit more time towards the end of this presentation to reach out to you and answer your questions. So if you've got any that haven't been answered in the queue, go ahead and put those in. But before we do that, I just want to bring to your attention a couple perks that you might have as a result of being a credit union member. First of all, if you joined this webinar and had no idea about the credit union, how we work, or what we do want to highlight the fact that this is an exclusive benefit for air transportation industry employees and their family members. In fact, if you are not yet a member, or if you have a family member who has not yet joined, they are eligible to receive their opening deposit. We'll credit them the first $5 to open up a savings account when they use, or when you use, promo code BD4412. You can go online to do that, or you can scan this QR code and it'll take you straight to the new member application. Next up, just want to highlight a couple offers that we have. Every quarter we introduce new offers available to our members that can help you with your financial wellness overall, maybe save a few bucks, or maybe just line your pockets with a little extra cash. Right now, we do have the ability for you to earn up to $125 when you open a new checking account. Details on that, I won't go into all the details for sake of time, but you can figure that out at aacreditunion.org/offers. In addition to earning $125, you can save some money on external refis of your auto loans. You can actually receive an automatic 0.25% annual percentage rate discount on external refinances. That means loans you have with another financial institution. And you can also take advantage of the option for a 90-day payment deferral. Give you a little breathing room, maybe let you catch up on some other debt, things like that. And then the last thing that I'll highlight here, because we have a ton of offers available at the website I just named, is our credit cards. A lot of you on the call, myself included, may be looking for ways to transfer high interest debt to low interest debt. Right now, with our credit cards, you can enjoy a $0, 0% transfer of balance fee to a credit card with the credit union. That also includes a promotional rate of 2.99% APR for 6 months. So again, no transfer of balance fee. Take advantage of a 2.99% APR for 6 months. Maybe play catch up, maybe provide more payments towards your credit cards, that sort of thing. After that 6 months, I want to be completely candid here. The rate will vary between about 12.25% to 18% APR, depending on your credit worthiness, what you're approved for, and what the standard rate is at that time. Again, check out that website. We've got tons of great offers for you. So I'm going to circle back around now because we were able to save about 10 minutes, and I know we got a ton of questions. Jamie, I know you've been hard at work.
My fingers are on fire.
Right?
Typing away here. Keyboard smoking.
So I don't know how many of these you want me to volley up to Mike and yourself. I don't know if we'll have time to get to all of them. Were there any, as you were responding, that you think would speak to the audience overall?
Yeah, we got a couple of questions on identity theft. And so again, that's probably a topic we can spend another full hour talking about, and rightfully so. There's so much of it going on. But it's hard to answer some of those questions in a short little window. I will say that one of the questions had to do with credit freezes. If you are or suspect that you are a victim of identity theft, I do recommend placing a freeze on your credit. That will not freeze your credit score or, inhibit you from improving your score or anything like that, but it will keep creditors from pulling your credit report. So it basically keeps people from applying for credit in your name. You'll have to have a PIN code so that when you do want to apply for something, you'll provide that PIN to the creditor. I also, if you are a victim of identity theft, I highly recommend visiting idtheft.gov. It is a government website that kind of walks you through step by step the process of recovering from ID theft. It can be a lot of work. Again, that's patience is going to come in handy there. Our counselors can kind of help guide you through it, but we're definitely not the experts when it comes to that. But we can help kind of get you in the right direction and give you some tips for how to improve credit after the fact. So that was a kind of a big topic here. Somebody did ask about student loans and can you, I'm not sure if they're referring to taking themselves off the loan or if they're wanting to take it over, get it out of their parents' name. Sometimes a student can refinance the loan into their own name, but a lot's going to depend on your loan servicer and what your loan agreement says. So it's not something I can give you a definite answer on. So I would definitely reach out to your loan servicer and see what options are available to get that loan into just the student's name if they qualify. There were so many, I was trying to keep up with them.
Great recap. Mike and Jamie, I did notice as well, there were a number of questions that were kind of geared towards debt and paying off debt. And obviously, we talked about it, that's going to increase your credit score. The least amount of debt that you have and the proper use of debt in the long run will improve your credit score, which will make you that much more apt for lower interest rates and approvals. I know this is a plug and I don't have it up in front of me, but I know that is something that you talk about in the past, Jamie, on some of these webinars. Do you know if that's something that our attendees here can look forward to in the future as far as some other webinar offerings that go more in depth on how to tackle debt at large? Yeah,
we usually do that one right around the first of the year. That's always a big kind kind of New Year's resolution for people to pay off debt. And so we try to frame that right up there around that time. So you can look for that. Can you believe we're almost at the end of the year? We're in the final stretch here. So I did want to speak to, somebody did ask about that, is it better to start with large debts or smaller ones when trying to work on credit? And, it's a tough question to answer without knowing specific details. If it's, active credit that's in good standing, I know you, Jack, and I, we differ a little bit on opinion here, but I always say start with that smallest balance first, because I look for those little wins along the way, and that kind of motivates us to keep going. But if we're talking about debt that is already in collection or charged off debt, then that changes things a little bit. So if you're talking about actually repairing credit after you've already had these kind of negative items on there, that's going to depend on a lot of other factors, such as, the age of the debt and what your circumstances are, what can you offer in terms of settlements and things like that. So in that case, I would highly recommend reaching out to one of our counselors and letting them look at your situation and then create a plan for you to follow. I did also want to point out, because I don't know that we've really said it, that when you reach out to one of our counselors, those appointments are completely free. There's no obligation, there's no fee. And, even if I'm sure nobody in this group is in this case, but even if you've maybe had some trouble with the credit union before and have some negative debt with us, we can still work with you in the financial wellness department and, help you come up with a plan to repair that. So reach out to us. Again, it's no cost and no obligation. We're just here to help.
Excellent. Yeah, and as far as debt goes, or any of these questions that are personal, that's why I put this screen back up. Like Jamie said, and like Mike has articulated, our financial wellness group is here complimentary to serve our members. It is one of the things that sets credit unions apart from banks, is that we are advocates for our members, and we will not put you in a position that benefits our organization over you as an individual. We really are going to tailor our solutions to what makes the most sense for you. And we're going to be honest, candid, and transparent with you. The other thing I'll say, just as a plug for the group that Jamie and Mike work for, is we have done member contests and feedback and things like that. And we're always incredibly amazed at how many times our financial wellness group comes up specifically mentioned for changing the lives of individuals. I've seen it firsthand. I've talked to people whose lives were literally transformed for the better by working with this fine group of individuals. So if there's anything that you think they might be able to help you out with or guide you along the way, like this slide says, these are all the things they can do, and they do it in spades. So that's my quick plug for reaching out to them, and they're incredible people that do a lot to change our members' lives.
Thank you for that, Jack.
Oh, you got it. It comes from the heart, I assure you. Make sure that there aren't any other questions before we kind of close out with some final thoughts and things of that nature.
I do see one more here, Jack. It looks like somebody asked, when you settle debt with a creditor, can you also ask them to delete it from your credit report? And Mike, I know you touched on that a bit with the pay for deletion, right? That's what that is.
Yeah, that's what you do. You ask, first of all, and you get something in, I guess, in writing that said this is a pay for deletion.
Right. But they don't have to, right?
Correct.
You can ask them, just like you can dispute something on your credit report, but if it belongs there,
exactly,
it belongs there, right?
Correct. There is no obligation. The creditor, if the information is accurate, the creditor is under no obligation to delete that debt. It's something you can always ask for. It can be part of the negotiation. I will say that the areas where I see it the most, or have seen it the most, is in medical debt. Usually they're pretty good about deleting them if you pay it. And when that debt has been sold off to a third party, so not the original creditor, but they've sold it off to a collection agency, we have seen success with getting the collection agencies to delete that debt. But usually it's a negotiating tool, right? And so you can say, if you owe them $500 and you say, hey, if I pay you $100, will you delete it? They might say, no, but if you pay $400, we'll delete it. So it could be a little bit of back and forth and negotiating. Just know that again, if it's accurate, they are under no obligation to delete it, but always ask.
And then the last thing I'll say before I kind of go into our closing thoughts here, we covered a lot of things, about improving your credit. There's a lot of facets to go into that, whether it be budgeting to set yourself up for long-term success, whether it be tackling debt at large, to just, maybe, Jamie, I know you've talked about money and kids, setting that example and understand and setting your household up for success. All of those videos are on our YouTube channel. So if you need to dig a little bit deeper or need a refresher on some of those topics, highly encourage you to go to YouTube and type in American Airlines Credit Union. You'll be presented with our page, and we have our most recently recorded webinar offerings that we're allowed to record. There are a few that for compliance reasons we cannot, but virtually everything that our financial wellness department presents on, including Jamie, Mike, or anybody else that's joined us, should be listed there and is a great resource for you as well. All right. So with that said, on behalf of Mike, Jamie, Sarah, Sutton, myself, anybody else that was on this call and I didn't mention, and the entire credit union, I want to thank you again for investing in your own financial well-being by spending a little bit of time with us today. This was really intended to get those cogs in motion, get you thinking about what actions you can take. So if we didn't get to your question, or if yours is one that's more personal in nature, like I said, indicate that on your survey that you'd like to be contacted by a financial wellness representative or anyone at the credit union. And we'd be more than happy to reach out to you, most likely by early to mid next week. As far as this slide goes, be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to our Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube social media channels. We really try not to sell on these. We really try to provide financial tips. We repost some recorded webinars, announcements about upcoming member engagement events, things like that. So give us a follow. Hopefully you'll be pleasantly surprised and interact with us. On behalf of Mike, myself, and the entire credit union, as well as Jamie, we hope you have a great rest of the day. Stay safe, healthy, and happy out there. Mike, is there anything else you want to add, my friend?
No, Jack, I think you've said it all. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We'll see you on the next one.
All right. Bye-bye. See ya.